Action to Paul, mid-position, red kings. Saw him 3-bet squeeze the very first hand of the day. Be interesting when the players find out that that's what's happened. H for pocket nines. Chasing down his biggest result of his career here today, as are a lot of these players, of course, with $2 million up top. Oh, well, this will go some way to helping him. Steve O'Dwyer finds pocket jacks in the next seat, pulls out a 3-bet to 4.5 million. He knows Steve will be trying to put a lot of pressure on him, so he may elect to just slow play this one. Steve has a lot of bluffs here. Of course, on the flip side, it's no great disaster if he does raise and knock those bluffs out. Just takes his pot down, given the stack situation. And the final table payouts. But one ladder is worth $50,000 here on the final table. Is going to use one of those 1-minute time extension chips. As he should, of course. He knows he's playing this hand, but with a lot of his more mediocre hands, he would need some time to think this through. Just counting out to see how easy it will be to have some 4-bet bluffs. Stack size doesn't lend itself too well to that. And he has less than 40 bigs. So he does decide to slow play out like this. Keeps in all those bluffs from Steve. And at 6, deuce, 3, 2 diamond flop. Barring a miracle, Paul will double up here. Checks, and this is a clear C-bet for Steve. Jacks, somewhat vulnerable, and as I say, he has a lot of bluffs in his range. So he can get action from worse hands. Paul had a smaller pocket pair, it'd be very hard for him in this situation. Steve goes for the same bet. He made it pre-flop, 4.5 million. Paul may call, may jam here. King of diamonds, it's a nice card to have. Question of how likely you think Steve is to continue bluffing on later streets. Once he puts the 4.5 in, he'll only have about 16 million back with 20 million in the pot. You know Steve can't fold big pairs here. If he does, check jam. But Steve is the kind of player who would continue to bluff, as we know, hyper aggressive with the chip lead. There it is. All-in move, snap call from Steve. Paul in great shape to pick up a 52 million chip pot early on this final table. Steve needing one of those 2 remaining jacks. Six spades on the turn. Ace of clubs on the river, no use. Paul doubles up to 52 million. Steve drops down to the same number. Just like that, shortest stack at the table doubles up and is now second in chips.
15, 16.
That is how close this final table is. I see a question in the chat box on partypokerlive.com asking, is it playing out to a winner today? The answer is yes, this is the final table. We are going to play down till we find a champion. I, for one, think it will take a rather long time. I think it'll be about level 11 or level 12 tonight. This is, of course, just the second level of the day. These things, of course, always subject to change if some person starts to run away with it. And the effective average stack shallows. Things might finish faster, but the players you see today and their understanding of ICM, I don't see a flurry of bust outs for quite some time yet. I said it could be 3 or 4 hours till we have our first bust out. Well, we're nearly 2 hours in now. There's Roger under the gun +2. He's going to open 10-8 of hearts. Ben looks at ace-queen off in the cutoff. And well, he did not have the best start to the final, but he's keeping himself in there. They just run that nice triple barrel bluff. And he is going after Roger's early position raise. Ooh. Considering something with ace-5 offsuit. You know, as Roger's a little bit more open than most, perhaps. Ben could be 3-betting a lot of hands he's going to fold with it in the cutoff. He doesn't take the spot. A nice bet size here from Ben, over 3x, targeting one of these medium stacks. Roger does make the call with 10-8 of hearts and flops top pair on 10-6-3 rainbow. Very good looking flop for his hand. Does, of course, check it over to the pre-flop 3-better. Ben Tellerine with ace high. Seen he's had a high c-bet frequency thus far on the final table. Some spots before he may have checked back, has elected to bet. Looks like he's going to keep up on that MO. Betting just 3.2 million. This will allow Roger to call with some weaker aces. Not expecting him to fold anything better here. Once more setting up for perhaps some barrels on certain runouts. Four on the turn brings a backdoor diamond draw. Ben does have the ace of diamonds. Roger checks his top pair. This may be one Ben fires again. He may just check back though. He is going to fire 8 million this time. This would put some pocket pairs in a tough spot. Of course, all his non-pair hands would have to fold now. Although Benjamin, of course, ahead against those. Ben, although he doesn't have the nut flush draw, he's surely going to wrap it if he needs to, should a diamond roll off on the end. his double barrel combos would be diamonds. As well as, of course, the strong hands. Roger calls the 8 million, having it just under pot behind. So another big pot goes down on this Millions World final table. Queen on the river. Ben finally makes the winning hand. Roger checks, and this is beautiful for Ben. Gets to value bet top pair, top kick on a pretty broken board when he does hold some potential bluffs. Of course, some of those bluffs on the turn would have been a hand like Queen Jack or King Queen of diamonds. Hands that would bet the flop and bet turn. Really less likely to have ace queen as he checks that back a fair amount on the flop, I would have thought. Does have some random ace deuce. Perhaps ace five of diamonds as well that would have barreled turn. And flop. So there are some bluffs in there. He has a lot of strong hands here as well. He does move in for 32 million is Roger's stack. And well, Roger hates this one. Flop top pair faces 2 bets. Now a river jam. Roger just doesn't have many strong hands here. Remember, he was the opener under the gun +2. Called a 3-bet. Really, the only 2-pair combo he has is Queen 10. Of course, he could have the flopped sets and occasional trap. This is one of the better hands he gets the river with. Aside from those traps. Doesn't have a diamond. Making a decent candidate to bluff catch. He knows Ben would make this move with a queen. Aces, kings. It will be nice hands to jam the river with. Does Roger want to cool it off? Finish 9th in this tournament if he's wrong. Does make the fold. Good fold from Roger. Yet again, a very well played hand by both players. Corrado on the button, 13 big blinds, Queen 8 offsuit. Maybe just a fraction too weak for him to jam. And Queen 9, he would have moved in with Queen 8, just the other side of the bottom of his range. Andras gets a walk with 7-5 offsuit.
That's why you like them, because you want them. That's why you like them.
Oh yeah, for sure. I love checking the card no matter what. I just love the.
If you walk me, you can
I can
check mine.
Check now. Well, I can't promise, but I will try really hard not to let you in the hand.
Yeah, that's fine.
Like if you're my hands up, like almost always we go in the hand.
Paul under the gun, +2, pocket aces. Yet another big hand for the Frenchman here on the final table of Millions World.
Not even making a good decision.
He has lost about 40 or 50 million chips from his peak. It's a big chance to get some on the back here. With his image, it wouldn't take a lot for these guys on 15 bigs behind the jam. Well, here we go. Zhao, 17.5 million. Exactly that. A perfect situation for him in his mind to jam. 17.5 bigs. Pardon me, less than that, of course. We're 6-12 now, so even more attractive position for him. He does move them in. Music to the ears of Paul. It'll be the third time he takes a short stack all in. Will it be third time lucky? And does fold. Snap call, of course, from Paul. So for the third time of asking, will we lose someone in 9th place? Zhao, the man, way behind. Needs to find a jack. 8 players hoping the aces hold up. Or paint in the window, but not low enough. Queen 9-4 does give him some backdoor hope. King 10 or 8 would give him additional outs. Well, the ace, top set for Paul. Knuckles on the table. Zhao is eliminated in 9th place. It took over 3 hours to lose a player. But it is Portuguese high roller making his way out. Does pick up, of course, $250,000 for his efforts.
Might as well just do it now.
Just for penalty.
Sit up on TV table.
I did catch the Rainer spiking a king on the river while I was having my dinner by the pool.
Yeah, that was a pretty nice one.
Yeah.
King on the end against Paul's pocket jacks. And yeah, certainly for the short stacks, there's been a couple of situations where, well, Paul had jacks against King Jack, got outdrawn on the river. He obviously lost that flip as well against Charles. So, you know, Zhao mentioning, oh, I could have added up a couple of spots without really doing anything else. Just the way the cards fall sometimes. Ferrado in the same boat. Could well have laddered up another 50 or 100K on a different day. Although, of course, they're focused mainly on winning, but in terms of time, oh, wow.
This is going to be it, I think.
Well,
like, we're
sub
the shorty by a distance, right?
Yeah, sub 10 bigs, though. Deuces, is he? I mean, he doesn't have fold equity, does he?
I mean, I think this is basically a spot where we sort of just have to gamble. You know, Steve is obviously going to be opening with lots of hands. Obviously, we're flipping a lot because he is going to be calling us. This is a disaster, though, with Roger behind and picking up the 8s.
And Roger just getting a count, of course, 8s. Very strong a hand against Ferrado's range. And Steve, like you say, just raises so many hands from the button that it's one of these situations. Well, if he's got us beat, he's got us beat.
Sure.
8s.
Yeah, I expect to see Roger isolate shove here would be the pretty standard play. Be very surprised to see anything else. He does do so.
There it is. Gets Steve out of the way, so I was going to call, of course. Ferrado needs a deuce.
Yeah, this is pretty gross.
Yeah.
For Neil.
You come in here just to bust him, huh?
Oh, no, I know.
He's been doing fine for hours. You step in here.
Come on now.
3 minutes later, he's got it in terribly.
I don't think I can jinx somebody when they got 9 bigs. I mean, I could try, but seems unlikely.
Well, these two seem to strike up a little friendship sitting next to each other. They seem similar characters, but is Ferrado in need of help? So we find ace, 10, 4, all spades.
Backdoor chops.
Yeah, spade, spade.
You can see that O'Dwyer would have taken the lead against Neil regardless.
Just the deuce.
Yep.
Well, Ferrado will be departing in 8th place. Swap poker tournaments come down to. This moment right here. Queen on the end, no good. He taps the table.
Good game, Neil.
Here's Neil out in 8th place, picking up $300,000. Not too shabby.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we know Neil's background. He has a lot of stellar results. I know he'll be very disappointed. You know, it's hard when you've had a lot of success before. Obviously, he's going to be targeting that sort of million plus, the old 7-figure score.
Yeah, top 3 getting $1 million. That's where his eyes
Is that right?
would have been
Top
on.
3. Yeah. Pretty unfortunate for Neil. Never really, from what I saw earlier, never really had any spots to gain any traction.
You're like 20.
And I guess, you know, with all the cameras and being on the feature table and knowing that you're being filmed, you know, even for the bosses who compete for all these big sums, it's going to be a little bit more testing.
Steve, back in action, ace, jack. 2.5 the bet.
I think I'm going to switch my allegiance to Andras from Feraldo. I just kind of admire the heart he's showing and taking on the big stacks.
Rhino with king jack on the button against that late position. Sorry, pardon me. I think Andras had raised. Steve's raised from +1.
Wow, is he? I was about to say, interesting spot. Wow, Rainer's going to put this in.
He is going to put it in, and of course,
Wow.
Steve will have to call this. He won't love it, will he?
No, he's not going to be thrilled. 13 big blind shove from Rainer. You say he's not going to love it. He absolutely fist pumped it in.
Oh, it is Rainer at risk once again. This time, needing a king, just like last time.
I was going to say, you wonder there if he's thinking, you know what, I'm the shorty. Oh, there's my hand.
There's my lucky hand. Yeah, he's in the Leon. Yeah. You know, sometimes you just look down at the hand you won with earlier, and you got to play it.
And to be fair, even though he only has 13 bigs there, he still has fold equity. Steve should be opening pretty wide, and he will get some folds. Oh, that was dead to the back doors.
Yeah, this one is going to take a little bit more work than the last one to get out of. Can the former super high roller bowl champion wiggle his way out of Steve O'Dwyer's grip? The answer is no. 6 of diamonds on the turn confirms his exit in 7th place. And well, he'll be one that I expect will be making his way over to the 250k.
Yeah, Rainer, like very, very strong player, as we know. Massive high roller pedigree.
Yeah, he's the kind of guy who just seems to always be up there in these big barn events. 25k almost not even a big barn event anymore. He's going to look turn his focus straight to that 250k, I'd imagine.
For these guys, for sure.
Oh, and I just see here coming into the commentary booth a very important run. Everyone's favourite moment. We're being spoiled in the booth today, Andrew, again.
Look, listen, I'm just going to have to go ahead and give a shout out, although he might get in trouble. Would he get in trouble? I'm not sure.
That's all right. He's unfireable anyway.
Let's just do it anyway. Let's give a shout out to my man, Mr. John T. Willis, bringing us some refreshments in the booth. Thank you, my man. Hey, guys. It's got to be done.
John T. quickly dancing out. He just always looks like he's on holiday, whether he is or not.
I know, right?
He actually fits in the Bahamas, I think.
He sickens me.
Well, John T., of course, who does sometimes help out with the commentary, has just brought in a couple of drinks for the boys. And look at this, 7s versus 7s. These are the fun ones. Ben opening the hijack off those 25 bigs. Charles in the cutoff.
From what we've seen, Charles will peel this hand. He's, you know, most of his selections have been to call in position rather than 3-bet, which he does. Now this is interesting.
Right, Charles would have 3-bet got in his strongest hand, so he's pretty much always falling to a squeeze, isn't he? Paul has to worry, of course, about Ben's opening range, but this looks like a pretty nice spot.
Yeah,
and
I mean, like, Paul's not going to fold this hand. He was just thinking, should he overcall or should he squeeze?
10 seconds.
Paul's taken a lot of the spots today.
Yeah, I think what makes squeeze attractive here is that Ben is capable enough to open wider than most off that stack depth.
Right.
You know, being one of the best players at the table. He has decided to peel with, and that's fine. Oh,
Roger.
wow, this is interesting.
He does move all.
I like this. I really like this.
I like that as well. So many chips in there already when it gets to him. You see, if he gets this through, it picks up about 12, 13 million.
Honestly, Ben is hating life today. Like the last few, ironically, he's played close to perfect. I think we haven't seen him make any missteps.
My question is here. I mean, we assume Ben's going to fold. Charles will do the same. Paul then is going to be a pretty tough spot against a 16 big 3-bet
I
jam.
think the problem is when Roger shoves is that, I mean, we can see that he has that perfect blockery hand, right, to shove it in.
Sorry?
But in theory, he should be expected to be called maybe by like one of these players, right?
You're right.
Like, perhaps not. It is. I hear you though. It's going to be awkward, especially with the dead money in the pot if it does get round to Paul.
That's so attractive. So he'll be have to call what 25 million-ish to win 42.
Yeah. I'm not sure that Ben always folds. He probably will. It's probably a little too low in his range to call.
Actually, that's a
Oh,
good
no,
point.
he's going
Actually,
for
yeah.
it.
Sorry, yeah. I was thinking Ben would fold, but no, of course.
I mean, it's
Against
like
that,
18 big blinds. You know, I think pocket nines, for example, we always call.
yeah.
This is one of those spots where Ben probably is just deciding there's dead money in the pot. It's a spot where Roger is incentivized to squeeze a little bit lighter.
Exactly, and of course, like we said, the overlaid's cool, and the two players behind didn't 3-bet, so they're probably not that strong, probably always folding to his
Sure.
jam.
Yeah,
Oh, the occasional trap. But
Paul never has a big hand, right, ever on the button.
yeah, Paul
He-
can't have the
yeah.
camping the third in.
Wow, and we know that Ben is drawing dead in terms of improvement to a set.
Yeah,
This is a pretty good spot, right? Nobody blocked Roger's whole cards.
correct. Roger is all in for his life, but Ben only about 10 million more. And as you say, if he hits, nearly impossible for Ben to get out of it. Wow, he's found the bricky flop, 9-8-5. Can, of course, hit a 6 and end this.
We're all in.
We are all in. Most chilled man at the final table.
Because I'm a sick man, 10 of diamonds. Oh,
There it is.
Oh, look at
6. But does give
Wow.
Roger that flush draw.
oh, this would be very cruel on Tolerine.
Oh, Ben came into his final table second in chips.
One card.
No, there's no more.
Diamond on the end.
Oh my goodness.
That is that. Ben down to just 10 million in chips. Roger with the ginormous double up. And then some with the dead money in the pot. Up to 68 million himself. All smiles.
Don't hurt as much anymore.
Poker really is a horrible game sometimes.
Yeah, that one was a little on the brutal side.
Oh,
Nice spot for Roger Teska then. Up to third in chips. Will change once more at the Millions World final table. Yeah, Ben 86 came into this final table second in chips and well, he's in the hot seat now to depart in 6th place.
and you know, also with the greatest of respect to the other players at the table, I feel like Steve O'Dwyer and Paul Tedeschi are going to be happy, I think, slightly happier that Ben loses that flip.
Yeah, sure.
Not to, you know, not to pour cold water on the ability of Roger.
Yeah.
That's tough, right? 2 million up top. Turn the straight, hold, sigh. Very unfortunate for Ben.
Well, Ben going to move it in. Well, it says 10 million, but it looked like he had less than that in front of him. I think the graphic a little wrong there. I think he was closer to 5 million. Those red chips were worth 500,000 apiece.
Oh wow!
I'm
so
pretty
he's short.
sure that graphic is slightly wrong, so apologies for that.
So he has 5 bigs, less than we think.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's,
3 bigs.
yeah, maybe 6 million, 5 million there in front of
Okay.
him. So
He has managed to get it in good.
is Ben at risk, but pretty close to a flip here. Once more, of course, the other players are rooting for the bigger stack. Everyone guaranteed 450,000. We crossed the $500,000 mark if we lose one more player. Jack in the door, followed by Queen 5. Ben needing a king. Well, we know Ben. I say we know Ben. I assume Ben will be jumping over to the 250k. He might not be, but you know, obviously, an absolute crusher in the game. We'll be hoping though to perhaps get a few more hands in at this table if he can find a king. It's not to be ace on the end.
Have fun, guys. Thank you.
Well, like you say, a shame to lose
Yeah, it
Ben,
really
such an
is.
accomplished player. Even on a table like this, such a strong player.
Yeah.
That, as you said, everyone will be happy to get rid of. Steve O'Dwyer, ace-king on the button, the chip leader. Kicking this up with a raise, 3.7 million. And while Roger with king-queen in the small, this, I guess, with this situation, just going to play as a flat, shouldn't he?
I mean, it's easy for us to say it, right? But obviously, Steve should be opening very wide, right, from the button. And for those reasons, a flat is actually also good, right? As we can keep in the weaker hands
Sure.
in Steve's range. The question is whether Roger's 3-bet should get respect a lot. So there's a couple of ways that we can think about this. He does flat though, and that's good. Oh wow! So many interesting dynamics waking up here.
Yeah, surely Andras going to raise nines against that late position. Well, button open, in fact, from Steve,
Yeah.
as you say, be super wide. And Roger
He showed a
kind
lot
of
of
capped
weakness there
in
by
the small.
yeah, especially the amount of time he tanked. Right, it's unlikely that we ever act like that with a few seconds to go flat with kings in this spot.
5, 4, 3, 2.
Yeah, rightly so, taking some time to think about this. So what, something in the realm of 15 million? Maybe even a bit bigger, out of position?
Right, you can have to make it big.
Wow,
All
he
in, okay.
stripped it.
And this is one of these situations that was bizarrely, it's the lower variance line, isn't it? Because you
Sure.
just stop Steve doing anything to you and you just pick up the pot so often. In this instance, of course, Steve will be calling surely with ace-king.
I mean, he will. It sounds ridiculous, but I don't think he's going to be absolutely buzzing to call this off.
And well, we're going to have the biggest pot of the tournament.
Yep.
He does call Andras all in for 71 million. But
Like, this is a pair a lot, right? Like, just from a theoretical standpoint.
right, it's a pair a lot, but it's
Ace
very
queen
hard for it ever to be
sometimes.
kings plus.
Oh, yeah. It never is. Yeah,
and
never
it's
is.
and it's ace queen a fair percentage of the time.
Sure.
In fact, what does Andras do with ace queen here all the time? I mean,
Probably does this. Yeah.
right.
For 40 bigs if we're equal stacked with everyone else. I mean, it's an absolute print to jam here because Roger is essentially never calling. And Steve should have about 90% of the time be snap folding. So
Well, the rest of the players are going to absolutely love this when they hear Steve call because there's a chance of a ladder up. And whatever happens, even if Steve loses this pot, we're going to have a monumental shift in the table dynamics.
I mean, he can never fold. But I think Steve will be thinking here that I'm going to be flipping a good amount.
Well, this could well be, this will be a tournament-defining pot.
Yeah.
Say it right now. Going to have about 150 million of the 400 million in play in this
go.
pot, and Andras' face there hates it to hear that, but he's going to love to see once more he's in a flip.
He has the one hand he wanted him to have.
Now he's dodged a few of these today.
Wow, this is massive, huh?
Can Andras do it again and get to the 150 million chip mark? Whoever wins this pot is going to be a giant step towards the champion here.
Huge moment here in the 25k high roller.
You wouldn't know it looking at their faces, would you? This pot is a seven-figure equity hand. Any way you cut it, this pot is worth over $1 million in real money.
Yeah, it's not an exaggeration.
$1 million flip, easily. Who is it to be? Ace 3-4. Any surprise? Steve O'Dwyer finds that ace. Man having a stormer of a year. Let's not jinx him just yet, though. Does have to fade a 9 on the turn or river.
No backdoor diamonds, backdoor wheel chop.
Andras Nemeth has been a force in this tournament. Needs a lot of help to get out of this one. Queen on the turn. Just a 9, or Andras will depart in 5th place.
Doesn't look like he believes it's coming.
You never think these ones are coming, do you? 5 on the end, that is that. Well, Andras, he had to spin up, didn't he? They gave him the poker gods gave him the sweat. From 5 big blinds all the way up to a chip lead flip. But not to be. And look at that stack of Steve O'Dwyer. Just short of 190 million. Nearly a half the chips in play with 4 players left. going to take a lot to get him out of this tournament.
So
Charles investigating the situation. Of course, every player at this table wants to knock out this 4th place man and get up to 1 million guaranteed.
1 million for 3rd, right?
So he's obviously thinking that whatever his hand is of limping the button and trying to take it 3-way and knock him out. That's pretty standard play in this spot. Obviously, he must have had a really bad hand not to try. It looks like Steve has King 7, is it?
Yep.
In the big, which was, well, going to be ahead most of the time, but not
Paul
this
has
time.
found the best hand.
There we go. Okay, Paul with a chance.
I feel like he deserves to double, but poker doesn't always give
I feel
you
they're
what
just going
you
to kill him
deserve.
here. This is he's just dead.
You think?
Yeah,
Good game.
Never wins this one.
Let's shake hands, guys. The Steve O'Dwyer show.
There it is. Well, let's have 5 outs. Ace or deuce. Running clubs. Effectively 6 outs.
Stand up from. Everyone knows if you stand up now, then
Oh,
then
no,
you turn an ace.
Nah, that's old school.
Like watch, boom.
Well, one more card to hit, or it'll be the end of Paul's run here at the Millions World. Fantastic run it has been. 3 on the end. That is that. Pretty cruel exit for him, running those 8s into kings after dominating the early play on this final table, turning the shortest stack into the chip lead.
You can expect to see Steve just open shoving like 70% plus of hands at this point.
That's not one of them.
Yeah, this might be one that he gives up.
All in.
Roger with the same hand he folded from
No,
the big
his
blind.
range is-
Well,
oh.
here we go. It's
He's
snap
being
cool.
caught.
And, well, Charles is at risk, but Roger with
All in.
only a few big blinds more.
Nines versus Queen 7 off.
Telling the rail.
Well, he has quite a loud and large rail. We popped out and saw them on the break. He is at risk. I say only 13 million less than Roger.
Oh.
And that face says it all. Queen 10,
Queen I
10.
flop.
Wow.
Roger taking the lead.
Queen I flop.
Charles
Queen I
needs
flop.
a
Queen
9.
7. Godly enough.
There
Oh,
is
look
the
at that
rail.
rail. It's quite a beautiful rail. Better than most poker rails I've seen.
Your Queen 7 off.
It's not going to be any consolation, though.
No. J'ai 9, your Queen 7 off. Queen I flop.
Given the translation.
French.
The ladies look gutted.
See Sam Chartier and Pascal Lafonsois on the rail.
Jack for sweat.
Yeah, Jack for the sweat. Ooh, that's a sweat.
8 for a sweat. Jack or 9 would now do the business. And he brings a smile to his face.
Couple full houses.
6 outs.
Yeah, he is right. 6 outs. Heading to the river. Will this be the end of Charles?
It
6
is.
on the end. Well, he put in a pretty strong performance today on this final table. Just ran into the buzzsaw that was Steve O'Dwyer toward the end there, losing multiple pots to him at Showdown. Yeah, oh, Roger.
He can be very proud of how he played. Well done, Charles.
Raise the seven.
Steve raising and taking from the button. So Roger with a little increase, courtesy of those aces, we still see a 3-1 dog here versus Steve.
I mean, I like basically never drink. I would be in bad shape really quickly.
So we should drink fast.
Wow, what a hand we have here. Steve with kings, Roger with queens. Could this be it? Unbelievable setup. 7 million the raise from Roger. Steve making it 21 million to play. Just a question now for Roger, whether he wants to slow play these queens or make the move now. I'd imagine heads up, he will take the slow play route. Call here. Would see the pot up to 42. He does move all in. Steve snap calls. Kings versus queens doesn't get much colder than that.
I had a queen before.
This heads up match could be over in just a few hands. Steve O'Dwyer, it's cold deck these guys
Might have just hexed yourself.
for the last hour.
That was a rookie mistake.
Yeah.
That was a rookie mistake. I feel pretty good about this one.
Roger
Yeah, I
says
mean,
he
if I
feels
lose it,
good.
I brought it on myself.
Hey, this one's all on you.
Oh, Roger feels good about it, but he does need a queen, a 4-to-1 dog. An ace queen 9, there it is.
Really
Steve
dated
needs
yourself
a
on this
king,
one, but
running spades or running straight.
we'll see.
5 of diamonds on the turn. Just the king will do it for Steve O'Dwyer. Otherwise, Roger suddenly takes the lead in this heads-up battle that started as a 4-to-1 underdog just a few hands ago. Ace on the end does the trick for Roger. That is how quickly things can change. Heads up, Hold'em. Buckle up, we're in for a long heads-up match now. There it is, trophy on the table. Steve O'Dwyer taking a long glance at something that, well, looked destined to be his, especially when he had kings in against Roger's queens. But now finds himself a 2-to-1 underdog. Still has work cut out if he wants to take that thing home with him.
Interesting spot here. There's, you know, some schools have thought we could limp shove this type of hand at 30 big blinds depth.
Wow!
Whoa!
Roger just moves all in.
I don't
with
think we can fold. We never. I don't think we 3-bet shove a better hand at this speed. Yeah, he's gonna call.
He calls! Wow!
He has to call. Like,
Roger's going to be shocked to find out what great shape he's in. Is a tiny...
yeah, like Roger's just decided he's just gonna rifle it in.
Roger wants to play big pots.
Wow. That was so fast, you know. Like I don't think we ever shove a better pair this quickly.
So Steve juicing.
Wow, this could be it.
It was a light hand. Yeah, well, this could be it. It's either it or a flip in stacks. Steve coming into this pot as a 2-to-1 underdog. 50-50 to double
Look
up.
at the percentages, guys. Here we go. Oh!
8-4 deuce. Roger pairs that 8.
Wow, just
And
like that.
we can start moving that trophy a lot closer
Oh
to
my
his seat.
Goodness.
Just has to fade a 5 or runner
He's been
help.
so chilled the whole time, and he just 3-bet rifles 30 bigs.
Queen on the turn. Things are a lot nicer now. There are a lot of cards that could have given Steve extra outs. That was not one of them. Well, I can't believe how quickly this has happened.
That's just like blown my mind. Here we go. 2 outs for Steve, or it's game over. And it's Teska's world.
Teska's world. Look at
Here we
this.
go.
Three,
Oh!
3 on the river. That is not what Steve needed. Roger Teska, as quick as that, is your Millions World Champion. Quite incredible heads-up match.
Wow.
These guys threw punch after punch at each other. Steve O'Dwyer, well, for most of this 5 on table, was in control. But it is he who finishes runner-up this time. And, well, he doesn't look too disappointed. Of course, $1.3 million, the consolation prize. And, well, he had, you know, he picked up 2 titles at the last Millions event, so maybe he can let this one go.
It's going to be okay, Steve. In fairness, you know what, Steve? He put on a magnificent performance. Things went a little against him heads up right. He had kings against queens for the win. Sometimes it's not your day. But, as always, both of the players played wonderfully well. Congrats, Roger. You are the Party Poker Live Millions World Champ.